Hey everyone, so today we are diving deep, and I mean literally, into one of the biggest hidden problems in the entire tech world, heat. And we're going to look at the incredibly cool and, yeah, very wet solution that is changing absolutely everything.
I know, it sounds completely backwards, right? We spend our entire lives trying to keep our phones, our laptops, all our electronics dry. But our demand for computing power is just exploding, and the heat coming off our servers and processors is becoming a massive, massive problem. So, what if the best way to save our digital future is to actually submerge it?
You know, for decades, we've relied on air cooling. Just think about it. Fans, vents, huge, loud air conditioning units, that's the noisy, power-hungry backbone of every data center on the planet. But we're hitting a wall, a hard wall. And on the other side of that wall is immersion cooling, a method that's super dense, totally silent, incredibly efficient, and, well, it might just be the only way forward.
So let's just take a second to really grasp the scale of the problem we're up against. All the incredible power of modern computing, and especially AI, generates a staggering amount of heat. It's like a kind of digital exhaust, and it's starting to choke our progress.
I mean, think about what we're doing. We are essentially using cold air to fight the heat coming off a chip that's hotter than a stovetop. It's like trying to put out a bonfire with a little desk fan. It's not working anymore. We are reaching the physical limits of what air can do, and the energy cost is becoming totally unsustainable. We need a completely different way of thinking.
And that radical, different approach is to do the one thing you're told never, ever to do with electronics: get them wet. This is the surprisingly simple and elegant idea behind immersion cooling.
So the core idea here is really simple. Instead of blowing air across a hot computer chip, you just submerge the entire thing in a special liquid. And because liquids are so much denser than air, they can absorb and pull away heat way, way more effectively. It really is the difference between standing in a cool breeze on a hot day versus jumping into a cool swimming pool. There's no comparison.
Okay, so the obvious question is, how on earth do you dunk a running server into a tank of liquid without causing a massive, sparking, catastrophic failure? Well, the secret isn't in the hardware. It's all about the liquid itself.
And here it is. This is the aha moment. We're not talking about water, we're talking about dielectric fluids. Think of things like synthetic oils or specially engineered fluorochemicals. The key thing is, unlike water, they do not conduct electricity. They're insulators. So you can literally dunk a running motherboard into a vat of this stuff, power it on, and it will just hum along perfectly, staying completely cool while looking like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. Now, what's really cool is there are two main ways to do this. In a single-phase system, the fluid stays liquid the whole time. It just circulates, kind of like the coolant in your car's radiator. But two-phase is even wilder. The fluid is designed to actually boil at a low temperature right on the surface of the hot chip. That change from liquid to vapor pulls an enormous amount of heat away. The vapor then rises, hits a cool surface, condenses back into liquid, and literally rains back down onto the electronics. It's a self-contained weather system inside a server tank.
And in the real world, this can look a few different ways. You might see a giant open bath, which is literally a tub filled with computer servers quietly humming away in this clear fluid. Or, for a setup that looks a bit more familiar, you can have enclosed cases where each server is its own sealed, liquid-filled box. And of course, people are mixing and matching, creating hybrid systems to get the best of all worlds.
So we know it works. We know it's cool. But what are the real-world advantages here? Why are companies from tiny startups to the biggest tech giants getting so excited about this? Well, it turns out the benefits go way beyond just lower temperatures.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. By getting rid of all those ridiculously power-hungry fans and air conditioners, you slash your energy bill. That is a huge win for your costs, and it's a huge win for the environment. On top of that, your chips, running at a perfectly stable, cool temperature, can actually be pushed harder to run faster, and they last longer. And because they're sealed away in this clean fluid, they're totally protected from dust and humidity and vibration, all the things that usually kill electronics.
Now, in the data center world, there's actually a key metric everyone uses to measure efficiency. And we need to talk about it for a second, because there's a really fascinating catch when it comes to immersion cooling. It's called PUE, which stands for Power Usage Effectiveness. Basically, a perfect score is a 1.0. That would mean 100% of the energy going into the data center is used for computing, and 0 is wasted on cooling or lights or anything else. The closer you get to 1.0, the better.
But here's the inside scoop. When you calculate PUE for a normal air-cooled system, the power that's used by all the little fans inside the servers actually counts toward the good computing energy. But with immersion cooling, what's the first thing you do? You rip all those fans out. You don't need them. So the whole calculation gets skewed. The reality is, the energy savings from immersion are often way, way bigger than a simple PUE comparison might lead you to believe.
And you know, this technology isn't just some lab experiment anymore. It's already being used out in the wild in some very surprising and really diverse places, far beyond your typical data center. Seriously, the applications are spreading everywhere. We're seeing this technology pop up in finance, in the future of our cars, and even in the deepest parts of the ocean. It's pretty amazing.
So yeah, cryptocurrency miners, they were some of the first to jump on this because of the insane amount of heat their rigs produce. But it's also being used in electric vehicles to cool batteries and motors, and in deep-sea robots where it protects the electronics from being crushed by the pressure. And check this out. This might be the coolest part. You can easily capture the waste heat from the liquid and then reuse it for something else, like heating a building or a greenhouse or even a swimming pool. How cool is that?
And let's be clear, this isn't some fringe idea anymore. The biggest names in tech are already on board. We're talking Intel, Meta. They've all tested this, they've all validated this approach, they know where the future's going.
But out of all the possible uses, there is one that is pushing immersion cooling from being a niche solution to an absolute necessity. And that, of course, is the AI revolution. 140 kilowatts. Just let that number sink in for a second.
That is how much cooling power you need for a single server rack running NVIDIA's newest AI chips. That is an absolutely insane amount of heat packed into a tiny space. There is no way, zero way, to cool that with air. It's a hard physical limit. The only way to get that much computing power into one spot is with liquid. AI needs immersion cooling to even exist at the scale we're talking about.
And that really brings us to the final thought here. The future of AI, the future of supercomputing, maybe our entire digital world, depends on our ability to keep it cool. So as we build that future, the question isn't if we're going to submerge our most powerful electronics anymore, but how quickly we can adapt to this new world, where our computers live underwater,